big, 6'6". He's mobile, 7.3 yards per rush the last 2 seasons. He's Clemson's all-time leader in passer efficiency rating and yards per attempt. He's also a winner. Lawrence didn't lose a single regular season game in high school or in college. The 2 losses he did suffer at Clemson, however, both came in big spots. Outdueled by Joe Burrow in the 2020 National Championship game.
LSU sits on the throne.
And by Justin Fields in this past year's semifinal.
The night to remember for Ohio State.
Those defeats have not soured anyone, it does not seem. Mel Kiper Jr. grades Lawrence as the 4th highest quarterback he's ever scouted in 4 decades, sandwiched between Hall of Famers Peyton Manning and Jim Kelly. And that is why, when you watch the NFL Draft on ESPN April 29, what you will see is Trevor Lawrence, the first pick off the board to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that, I think, is a foregone conclusion. He is Matt Miller, our draft scout. So, Matt, you heard me mention there. Mel says he's the 4th best quarterback prospect he's ever scouted. As you have scouted him, where does he rank amongst the very best prospects you've ever seen?
Yeah, I've been doing it as long as Mel. Jim Kelly was drafted the year I was born, so I don't have that time span that Mel does, but he is one of the greatest quarterback prospects I've ever evaluated. I think you would put him up there with Andrew Luck as far as great prospects. As you mentioned, the mobility is exceptional. Listen, he is a great prospect, but the one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is what if it doesn't work? And that is a big part of this because it is the NFL draft. If it doesn't work, what do we look for with Trevor Lawrence? I think the fact that there were 5 interceptions in his last 6 games, there were times where the delivery gets elongated. The Virginia Tech game that we're showing right here, he struggled big time that game. Completion percentage was about 20 points lower than it normally is for him. So there are some things he has to work on. And I think one of the questions, Greeny, that we haven't discussed a lot is Urban Meyer's actually never coached in the NFL. Urban Meyer taking his first NFL job with a rookie quarterback. That is a dynamic that I will be very interested to see play out. I'm excited about Trevor Lawrence. He is a great all-time prospect, but there are still questions that we have to get answered about his ability to translate to the NFL.
That's fair. Joey Galloway, generational talent. What do you think?
I don't like to use that term because it literally depends on his situation, what pieces are around him, what is his offensive line like? Does he have a chance to stand in the pocket like he did at Clemson? And so when we look at Trevor Lawrence, he is a tremendous quarterback. He has all the measurables that you ask for. But because we judge guys on wins, on stats, that will depend heavily on the guys around him. When you look at guys in the NFL, it is like, when a guy has a really good offensive line or when a quarterback has a really good run game, they're a different quarterback. You need these things because of guys like Rob Ninkovich on the other side who are very talented on the defense. You need a lot of pieces around you to be successful. If they can do that in Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence will be outstanding.
And so, Graziano, this thought just sort of jumped into my head. So with all the other quarterbacks in this year's class, we talk about fits and needs and, do the Jets like Zach Wilson better than Justin Fields and do the 49ers like Mac Jones? Is it safe to say that all 32 teams, all 32 general managers, if they had the first pick and they needed a quarterback, every one of them would take Trevor Lawrence? Is that a reasonable thing to say?
I think it's reasonable. I don't know that I can say I've polled all 32 and gotten that, but yeah, that's definitely the consensus. I think if the Jets, for instance, had been in that spot, if they had kept losing late in the year, then he would be going to the Jets. But he's definitely viewed very, very highly. But I mean, Matt's point is a very good one. No one is situation proof, right? I mean, if this is a mess, like if Urban Meyer can't do this job, then there's a problem. If Darrell Bevell doesn't have the right kind of offense for him to thrive in, then it could be a problem. We've definitely seen first-round quarterback picks not make it. I don't think there's anybody out there saying, oh, Trevor Lawrence is probably not going to make it or he's going to be a bust. But it's a good reminder that no one is situation-proof. Where you land and who coaches you matters a lot in terms of your NFL future, especially at this position.
That's fair. But the point is that could be said about literally anyone. As we discuss him as a prospect, he checks every box, right? There's nothing that we're missing here.
Everyone.
As far as he's concerned. If things go wrong, it'll be because the things that go wrong around him. You put him in the right position, and there's every reason to think he will succeed. Okay, so as we mentioned, we are 20 days away from the beginning of the NFL draft, and I have the great privilege of being the host for the first 2 nights of our coverage here on ESPN. And so I've been doing a great deal of diving into all of this. And so I've put together a couple of thoughts here, and I want to bounce them off of Matt and Joey and see how we do. Here is my first prediction. Matt, I'm looking at you. I believe that some team in the NFL is going to trade back into the bottom of the first round, as we've seen happen before, to take Davis Mills, the quarterback from Stanford. I think he is the guy ultimately. Teams who are thinking long-term project will say he has the most upside, and they will want that 5th year. So I believe we will see a team trade into the back of the first round to take Davis Mills from Stanford. What do you think?
I don't think you're crazy. Not at all. I mean, we've seen this happen before. The Baltimore Ravens traded back in to get Lamar Jackson. That ended up working out very, very well for them. So with Davis Mills, the traits are all there, Greeny. The arm strength is there, the size is there, the mobility is there. He only started 13 games in college. It's really the only question. So I don't even know if it would have to be a team trading back in. I think you could look at the New Orleans Saints sitting right there at the end of round 1 and say, okay, if the big 5 quarterbacks are off the board, does Sean Payton believe in Davis Mills as his quarterback of the future? He could sit behind Jameis Winston for a year, and then you unleash him in 2022 after he's had some time to acclimate. So I would not be shocked if you are announcing that trade on ESPN on Thursday night.
Quickly, is 24 to the Steelers too early? Would that be too early for him to go?
I think it's too early based on value, like on everyone's big board. But when you're getting a quarterback, if you believe in him, then it's never too early.
It only takes one hit. And every year after 40, the risk increases. I mean, it's a young man's game. You're playing with 21-year-old kids. And if I was a young linebacker, you better believe Tom Brady, I want to put a big pop on him. I want to hit him. So it's going to be interesting this year. I want to see him walk out healthy on his own 2 feet. But history, we can look back on all history in football. Most guys, they don't walk away on their own.
What do you think, Joey?
I think Rob makes a good point when he says that the little statement of, you can't go do it again. And I think all of us get to the end of our careers and we think once we walk out these doors of the NFL, this will be the last time you ever play football. And if you're blessed, like a guy like Tom Brady, to play as long as he has and to still have that fire after all these years, I think that's the rarest part of what Tom Brady is to accomplish what he's accomplished and still have that desire to go out and do it. If you're blessed enough to play in the NFL, that's number one, but to go long enough that your fire is still going and you've been in it for so many years that you don't want to walk away from it is special. And it's special to watch, and it's fun to look at and see what he's doing. And it's interesting to see how long that fire is going to burn, because if it continues to burn, he looks like he has a lot of football left in him.
It could turn out that way. Nico, we got to get together a football game. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 2-hand touch, cut the middle, rush the passer. I got you covered. All right, as we continue, coming up, they're calling Trevor Lawrence a can't-miss